Okay, let's do this. First, I'm taking my P. Louise base and a Zoeva 233 brush, and as you can see, this base has to be pat on. It's a bit of an odd technique, but it works. I'm using the Zoeva All Night Long palette. This was actually sent to me and it is launching on October 15th. Okay, so I'm taking the shade Chosen Guess on a Zoeva 228 brush. I like to start with a shade that's not too dark but not too light, and begin by placing this shade in between the crease and the lid, right in the fold part of your eye. Okay, so using swiping and little circular motions to blend this shade out, but make sure you do not bring this shade too high. I'm actually loving this brush. It's great because it's not too big, so you can do a really defined blend, but it also creates a really blown out smoky effect. Okay, so now we're taking the shade Front Door Policy on the same brush, but I'm just using a new one. So we're placing this shade above the previous one, but also on it. So don't go too high. You just want to start by placing it at the top of the blend of the previous shade and starting to really blend those edges so that there's no harsh lines. So the idea of this is obviously when you do a smoky eye, often the lid is the darkest shade and you go all the way up to the lightest. So this is basically what I'm doing, but I haven't gone in with the darkest shade to begin with because it makes it really hard to perfect. As you can see, my motions in the crease don't really change. I continue to use swiping and circular because I just find this works really well for me. Okay, so once you're happy with the blendedness of that shade, head to the next lightest one. And in this case, I'm taking Full Swing on a Sigma E25 brush. This is a more thin brush. It's not so tapered and fluffy. And you use this shade to just correct any final blending on the very outer edge. Okay, so now that I'm happy with the blend of the crease, I'm going to head down to work closer to the lid. So I'm taking Concert Like on the same brush because it's working so well. Now you're placing this much darker shade on the eye fold, or at least right closest to the lid, and don't drag it up too high. You know, really put your color on slowly, otherwise it may get out of control and you'll look like you have a bruised eye. So we're using this shade now to darken up the crease so that when we place the black on the lid, there's a nice transition between the black to this dark brown to the lighter brown all the way up to the top of the crease. So just keep blending until this shade is blended in with the rest. If after your arm has fallen off from blending and it's still not perfect, you can go back in with the first brown we used, which is the other darker brown, and put it on top, and that will help blend them together. Okay, onto the black. So this is 15 Minutes of Fame on a Sigma E25 brush. I always use this brush for lid shades. It works perfectly because it's flat, but also it blends really well. So just dabbing this shade on, starting closest to the lash line and working your way up so that you don't overdo the black too quickly and you can't take it back. So don't stress if the black is starting to look a bit muddy or not fully opaque from all the blending, because you can add more in a minute. You are just trying to perfect this black into the brown shades. Okay, so always after I place the blacks, I go back in with the previous shade and put that back over where the black had met the previous shade before. I just find this is a foolproof process for creating the perfectly blended smoky eye. Okay, now is where you can go back in with that black shade and really darken up the lid. Just once again, always start with the most amount of product at the lash line, working your way up so that you will not ruin the blend. Okay, so now time for the lower lash line, taking Front Door, Policy and Chosen Guess, mixing them together on the Sigma E25 brush, and just place that right up on the lower lash line and use swiping motions to blend that in. To create that really perfect round blown out smoky eye, I always like to connect my lower lash line up to the blending of my upper lid. Okay, so now just taking that black shade on the same brush and placing it even closer to the lashes, so right at the top of the lower lash line. Okay, so now just to complete the look, I like to just touch up any areas that I think need a little bit of cleaning up with a face powder. So this is a good technique or a good way to just finally blur out any edges or lighten any areas that you think are too dark. Okay, so now I'm just taking Kat Von D's brow pomade in Scarlet for the lower lash line. I chose red because this was my Halloween wearable eye that I was doing, but of course, typically with a black smoky eye, you might go a white or a nude or a black. Okay, now just add some lashes and you're done. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope this helped you achieve a perfect smoky eye. Comment and let me know, did it help you? Is there anything I could have done different to help you out more? And yeah, thank you. So you can continue to watch me here. I'm just going to complete my full face in fast forward mode, no speaking, just to finish this Halloween wearable face look. Okay, so I hope to see you on the next video. Bye everyone. Oh, and PS, remember all details will be listed down below. Do you love me?